The polls are open and Americans are making their voices heard through their votes in 3 states, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and South Carolina today, all holding pivotal primaries. In South Carolina, Darlene Graham, the sister of late Senator Lindsey Graham, is voting this morning in the state's Republican Senate primary. She's facing off with 9 other Republicans who hope to fill the seat for the full 6-year term. I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus. And another big state showdown is Wisconsin. That's where Francesca Hong is seeking to become the nation's self-identified Democrat socialist governor, the very first one it would be. But moderate Democrats are hoping her challenger will win, as they are panicking now over Francesca Hong's socialist stances, which could jeopardize the general election. Here's a sample of her words.
Rapid fire. Do you support repealing Act 10?
Yes.
Universal child care?
Yes.
Free school meals?
Yes.
Guaranteed pay leave?
Yes.
Abolishing ICE?
Yes.
We have to dismantle police unions, defund the police.
In the service industry, we are finally having this conversation about, how our industry really did come from it and kind of is rooted in white supremacy.
Thanksgiving is also a time that's incredibly painful for many people in our communities.
My favorite holiday is Thanksgiving. I actually love it.
Flip-flopping like nobody else. By the way, did you see her taking the litmus test, the checklist from that streamer, radical far-left Hassan Piker, racist, sexist guy, and making her check off the boxes? Are you a real Democrat socialist? That's just the tip of the iceberg for Hong. She is also backing a public option for health coverage, state-run public banks, grocery stores, free, remember, like Mamdani style here in New York. Still haven't seen one. Repeal of the right to work law, raising the minimum wage to $20 per hour, a wealth tax, and state identification for illegal aliens so they can live and roam just like the rest of us, just like they actually are legal, but they're not. The DSA, Democrat Socialists of America, endorsed candidate is now trying to distance herself from some of her own words, her own radical positions. And yes, the topic of Thanksgiving keeps coming up.
I learned then you have some hot takes, sometimes bad takes on Twitter, and I let my feelings out into the world. And right now, as governor, what I'm most serious about are the issues that voters are telling me they want solutions for permanent affordability.
So no police, no ICE, get away, from the U.S. government, Supreme Court, all that. Those are just hot takes, bad takes? Which ones? Former Republican Governor Scott Walker of the great state of Wisconsin joins me in moments. First, let's go to senior national correspondent Mike Tobin in Milwaukee. Mike.
Pam Harris with Democratic Socialism on the March, a woman who looks like she's in a comfortable position to win the Democratic nomination for governor of Wisconsin. Proudly wears the title of Democrat Socialist. Francesca Hong is leading in every area of the state among Democrats, according to the pollsters. She campaigns for a higher minimum wage, tax the rich, universal health care, and a year moratorium on new data centers. Her past tweets and comments about defunding the police, abolishing the police, criticism of Thanksgiving have come back to haunt her, but she dismisses all of that as bad takes.
We need a united party. We are ready to unite not just the party, but working class people all across the state to defeat Tom Tiffany in November. I think the Democratic Party, we are a big tent party. There's always room for better policies and always room for working.
Now, what Wisconsin voters tell us, particularly the young ones, fits in with Hong's platform. They are concerned about affordability and would like to see some new blood and a new approach to government.
I think just young people feel very disenfranchised in politics, and a lot of the DSA platform kind of attempts to make those people feel like they have a voice, make people feel like they have an opportunity. Particularly, I don't agree with a lot of this policy.
I think most of the base for the Democratic Party wants to see more change and more democratic socialism.
In spite of what a small portion of Democrats are concerned or worried, I don't care. I'm up to all the way with her, and I support her.
Now, establishment Democrats in Wisconsin are not necessarily supporting Hong. The outgoing governor, Tony Evers, campaigned with her primary opponent, David Crowley. Evers is concerned that Hong is so far to the left she could win the primary but turn off centrist voters and pave the way for the likely Republican nominee, Tom Tiffany, to march into the governor's mansion. Now, Republicans have controlled both houses in the state capitol for about 16 years now. Democrats are looking at the potential of a trifecta where they control executive and both houses in the state capitol, and they really don't want to lose this opportunity. Harris?
Mike, thank you very much. And focus with me now, former Republican governor of the great state of Wisconsin, Scott Walker. He's also now president of the Young America's Foundation. Welcome. Let's get started with your state. Are there enough people who believe in socialism, and you know that state so well, that Francesca Hong could move forward in the Democrat primary?
Absolutely. Three quick reasons. One, the electorate for the past 10 years on the Democrat side has moved dramatically to the left. Two, as you mentioned, Young America's Foundation, we've been warning about this for years. Liberal indoctrination on college campuses is having an impact. And three, as Mike talked about, high cost, particularly when it comes to housing, I think shows that for younger voters, they're up for grabs. That's why Tom Tiffany was wise to come out yesterday with a conservative alternative, but they're looking for aggressive action, and they think they're getting it with democratic socialism. As you know, in places like Venezuela, it's not what you expect. It actually has failed in that country and would fail here.
Look, she gave in an interview in the last couple of days an example of owning the Green Bay Packers as socialism that works. Can you address that?
Well, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's a corporation. It's a nonprofit corporation held by shareholders and run by an executive committee. So she doesn't even know what she's talking about. But this is par for the course. You alluded to her cancel Thanksgiving post. Then she said, well, no, actually, I cooked for Thanksgiving, but some people are troubled by it, to then saying finally a few days ago, she loves Thanksgiving. This is an example of her trying to back away from her past statements. But these were not statements as a kid in school. These were statements as an elected official. I think it's very revealing just how radical on abolishing the police, getting rid of prisons for violent offenders. All these things are dangerously crazy, not just crazy, but dangerously crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting. She is, and I mentioned the Green Bay Packers. Here's exactly what she said. Let's watch.
First of all, let's remember that here in Wisconsin, we have the only publicly owned NFL football team. We're very proud of our Green Bay Packers. And this is a state where sewer socialism was born, Social Security, kindergarten, environmentalism. We have deep progressive roots, and it's about time that we dig into these roots and build something even better. And I think working class folks all across the state who have felt very much left behind are ready for a new politics to reclaim working class power and make sure we have a government that actually puts working class people first.
Do you think that wins in your state?
No, one, the Packers are, nonpartisan. The people love them regardless of who they are. But that aside, these policies, she really pushed on them. Massive tax increases that would drive employers and job creators out of the state. Overall socialism, like I said, it's not just liberal views. These are the things in our ancient history. They're failing as we speak in Venezuela. The more people learn about her and her policies, I think the worse off she gets. They're going to try and switch and attack and somehow make this about President Trump. But I think so far they've overstepped, and that's why the Democratic establishment is pushing back. But too little, too late.
Yeah, you know what? You're absolutely right about that. I was reading some of her comments just in the last 24 hours as she was headed into this vote day, and a lot of them were about President Trump. And that's a head scratcher because he won't be president all the way through the next term of, it just makes no sense. Let's move on. One of the Democrat Party's biggest socialism boosters seems to be trying to walk back some of the woke. Like erase all of our memories for all the junk they've said. This weekend, New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez blamed 2020 lockdown rhetoric for some of her radical left stances, including defund the police. Watch this.
I have a local city councilman that has this saying, woke one was crazy. I think that the doors were really open in trying to entertain any and every policy that was going to get us to a better place. I think that, during lockdown, of course, rhetoric in that time is not rhetoric that we would use today.
A new column argues this is a cop-out. It is another way of saying, don't pay attention to the foolish things we've said 5 years ago, which have since been exposed as reckless and juvenile. Just focus on what we want to talk about now, that we are asking for your votes. End of quote. Your reaction to that?
Well, just like Francisca Hong, this is a great example. These are not poster comments that AOC made when she was a kid or in college. These were comments made as an elected official. When people tell you who they are, believe them. She, like so many others, are radical. She's getting hungry for a potential presidential run and realizing in swing states like Wisconsin, that doesn't play very well.
You know, as a former governor of that great state, I know how much you love your home. And when you think about the country and your state now possibly being part of the push towards socialism, what is something that you'd say to all voters, including Republicans?
Well, one, don't take anything for granted. I think there's a lot of Republicans in state like mine in Michigan who somehow think these radical candidates winning the primary means it's a shoo-in. It's not. It is still an incredibly close election. Wisconsin's the closest swing state in America. Michigan's not too far behind. So we got to fight for every vote. And the cycle is, whether it was Obama, Reagan, Trump, or whoever else, typically in swing elections, it goes the opposite of the White House. So conservatives have to fight even further. And third, it's not just about elections. The big picture, we got to reach out to young people and tell them why democratic socialist ideas have failed over and over again, and they're going to fail going forward. We can't just assume they know. We have to tell them.